Hey, everybody. This is probably not the introduction that you're expecting, but we decided to try something a little bit different.
Yeah, so we always talk about music and stuff like that, and we always relate it to songs that we know.
And movies.
Yeah, so we were sitting down one day and I was just kind of playing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we was thinking about a movie, but Cheri got all churchy and started testifying from the perspective of a character.
Yeah. And I think about like how we find these ways to express our emotions, right? The movies, the reason we love them is because they make us think about our emotions. And if y'all haven't figured out by now, we are actually creatives in a number of different ways, musicians and people who create things from everything from software to all sorts of different things, right? We make things and we express ourselves in many different ways. And so we had watched The Family That Prays, the movie, the Tyler Perry film, and we were reminded of songs that we knew already and songs that we had written previously, because I'll let you in on a little secret. We have written a ton of songs that we have not released, but, we wrote them and we sang them and they're ready to roll. But, we just hadn't thought of the right time for anything. And we mostly were just making these in our spare time because we love music. And so what we decided to do is try to take some of the lessons, some of the themes explored in the film with a little bit of talking mixed in, and Heit playing the piano, and from time to time, me singing and putting it to song. And so we ask for your grace as we try something new and something different. But if you like it and it works out and we like it, then maybe it's something we can do from time to time. We'll still be doing our regular videos, but it never hurts to try something new. So we're going to talk about the movie, The Family That Prays. And I guess we're calling this the musical. So in the movie, we have Alice, who is the mother of Pam, who's played by Taraji P. Henson. And Alice is Alfre Woodard playing her. And there's a guy who comes into Alice's diner, and his name is Nick, and he looks unhoused. He's clearly disheveled and everything. And Pam sort of responds like, ew. But Alice doesn't think twice. She just welcomes him in and, talks about how she's going to, have her daughter help him go to the back, freshen up. They'll have fresh clothes and stuff for him to get cleaned up. But Pam really doesn't understand why Alice is taking all of this time with Nick. And so Alice tells her daughter that you should be kind to strangers because they could be an angel. And she points to this being this Bible verse. Hebrews 13, verse 2 is probably what she's talking about, which says something to the effect of, don't forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without even knowing it, right? And so as we kind of reflect on what happened in this film and the people living by their creed, people have beliefs, but most of the time people's beliefs show through in the works that they do out in the world. And so Alice was no different. She was very devout and she really believed this. So she put it into action, and she was trying to pass these lessons on to her children like most parents do, right? And Pam just wasn't getting it at this point in the film. And so it really just kind of reminds me, of this idea that talking to a stranger and, what if it was an angel? And the fact that we should just treat people well. You're talking to a stranger, but what if he's an angel? You might not see his halo, but he could be an angel. Some people are real angels that keep your life from danger. Real angels. So we have Pam, and that's Taraji's character, and her husband, Ben, who's played by Tyler Perry. And they have this complicated sort of relationship because somewhere along the way, it was like Ben lost his faith in himself. And Pam has more faith in her husband than he has in himself at all. And it's really that he's afraid of risking it all for their dreams. And Pam is talking about how, when we got together, you used to have big dreams, and somewhere along the way, you just lost those dreams. And Ben says to her that he wants to get stable before they start going dream chasing. And this is all in the context of this discussion about Pam's sister, Andrea, that's Sanaa Lathan's character, and her husband, played by Rockman Dunbar, who is Chris. And Chris wants to start his own business. They're in construction, so Chris and Ben can have a construction business. But Ben is scared. And so Pam is trying to encourage her man, her husband, and say, look, I'm with you. Let's do this together, but he's still like, I don't know. I don't want to risk it all. I just want us to be stable. And so his fear is kind of holding things back. And when you look at couples and longevity, they've been together a while, and how these dreams evolve over time, one of the secrets, I think, to staying together and being able to make it together is to seek out all of these different challenges, all of these different dreams together, and accomplish them together, set up the goals together. So she doesn't have to actually do construction in the moment to be able to say, I support you, to say, let's go for it. And we're all on the same team, right? And it reminds me of this song that Heit and I had written a few years ago, actually. And the words to the song talk about how I want to dream big with you. It's expressing to somebody who you love that part of sharing your life means that our dreams are together. They're not just over here, you're over here with your dreams, I'm over here with my dreams, right? And so it's kind of like this. I want to dream big with you. Makes the impossible seem like something I can do. Dream big with you. Oh, I believe in you. Yes, I believe in you. Oh, I believe in you. Oh, I believe in you. I wanna dream big with you. Something like that, So inevitably, Alice, who is a devout Christian, winds up taking Charlotte, her friend of many decades, to church with her. And there's a rehearsal, and during this rehearsal, they're playing Jesus Loves Me, right? And so one of the things is that Alice is sitting there, and then so is Charlotte. And Charlotte is really enjoying this choir singing. She's moved. You can see the expression on her face. And we don't really know at this point in the film what's wrong with Charlotte, but we know that Alice has mentioned that she's not acting like herself. And we see that she really just loves this rehearsal and the singing of this song, Jesus Loves Me. And so sometimes when people need that reassurance and when they're going through something, they got something on their mind, they need somebody to understand, but Maybe they're afraid to say the words out loud to the people who love them. And if it's serious, maybe they just don't want to hurt the people who they know would be hurt if there's bad news. And so it's complicated. And there's this reminder in the film that there is someone, or you have resources to go to with whatever your belief is, whether it's in church or otherwise, but in this case it's church, and somebody who will understand your cry. And that's comforting to people during troubled times. And this is one of the things that does hit home. And so at one point after the singing of the song, we see Charlotte ask Alice, and she's like, do you believe that God is going to forgive us for all of our previous sins? And Alice said, well, yeah, that's why Jesus died, right? But the thing that we know is on Charlotte's mind at this point, that we find out later in the film, is that she comes from a family who has preyed upon people, who's taken advantage of them, who's taken advantage of the weak. And this is how they've made all of that money, because indeed, Charlotte is very, very, very rich. And so Charlotte's response to her is, well, I feel like I've been paying for things my entire life. And then she says to Alice, thank you for being my true friend. And she asked Alice a question that just really moved me. And she said, have I been good to you? To her best friend, really. And so later in the film, we see Charlotte baptized, and it all kind of comes full circle. But back to the song that they were singing, Jesus Loves Me, right? This is the thing that really, really got Charlotte going in the moment. And, the words, Jesus loves me, but have I been good to you? Yes, Jesus loves me, but have I been good to you?
Charlotte, she was trying to get Alice to go on trips with her for a long time, because she's like, yo, girl, you need a vacation. And Alice, I gotta take care of my family, everybody else, Nick, everybody. But one day, Charlotte just showed up in an old school thing, glistening in the sun, and it reminded me. See, I'm from Southwest Louisiana, and back around 2000, this song came out that situation reminded me of. When she walked outside, it was like this song by E.S.G and Big Mo. You might know it, because the car, I don't even remember what car it was, but it was like a little blue teal type thing, and she had the top drop.
Drop your top and roll with me. It's Alice and Charlotte, see all the world we're gonna see. Come on, take this trip with me. Take a trip, yeah, with me. We're on a trip, yeah. So Charlotte is just continuing to beg along the way, but finally, one day, Alice just shows up at Charlotte's house out the blue. And she's like, girl, get up, and Charlotte is still in the bed. And she says, well, what, you came to see me off? And Alice is like, nah, girl, I'm going with you this time. And imagine Charlotte is just like, oh man, we're really gonna have this trip, because at this point in the film, Charlotte knows that this is probably gonna be her last road trip, and she really, really wants her best friend to go with her. And she's so happy that Alice has decided to go, even though Alice doesn't know Charlotte's secret at this point in the film. And then they just go off. They drive off and they're headed west. They're from Atlanta and they're headed west. On the trip, they stopped at a bunch of different places. But the first place they stopped was New Orleans. And we saw Charlotte drinking. Alice doesn't drink because, she is a devout Christian. And so Charlotte is drinking, and she's drinking a hurricane, and Alice is just looking at her, but they're still having a great, great time. And we notice that Charlotte has all of these cameras with her, and she's just taking picture after picture. And Alice is like, you've taken enough pictures, enough memories you're going to have for a lifetime. And then we hear Charlotte say to her, I hope so. And that's kind of a clue that she's wanting to save all these memories for some point in the future. And you're like, well, what's really going on? But we still don't know. And then they go along and they stop in other places along the way, making their way west. They want to go to Las Vegas, but they stop at, a bar, and like a honky-tonk bar kind of a place. Alice doesn't want to go in because, when she look around, she don't see any skin folk. And so she's like, look, I'm not going in there. But somehow Charlotte convinces her to go in, and she has a little wee bit of fun. But Charlotte is really living it up. And since this is her bucket list, then, it works. And then along the way, there is a point where they come to like a roadside preacher. And the roadside preacher is out there literally in what looks almost like a giant puddle, and it's all muddy and stuff. And he's baptizing people. You see the folks in the white robes and everything, and they come up to him. And Alice tells Charlotte, hey, I'm part of this trip too. Let's do something that I want to do. So then she takes Charlotte over there, and then Charlotte goes and gets in the water. And the preacher's like, I know what you're here for. And Charlotte, like soon as she takes her first step, she like sinks in the water. She's wearing fancy clothes because, her little knit suit, her knit set is expensive because this is a rich woman. She's a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire, right? And so she goes and gets in the water, and then she is baptized. Like you see them lean her all the way in this water. And the people there are singing Wade in the Water. Y'all know what song that is, right? They're kind of like, wade in the water, wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Drop your top and roll with me. It's silence in Charlotte Sea. All the world we're gonna see. Come on, take this trip with me. With me. So there is this gala event at the job, and we have William with his wife, and we also have Andrea and her husband, Chris, who are showing up trying to come to this gala. And so William and Andrea, they just sneak off to their own and have their spouses looking for them at this party like they are just blatant. But Andrea is like, what's going on, baby? And then you got William. William is like, look, your husband is going around asking competitors and other people about starting his business, and I'm going to just dead all that. We going to fire him. But what does Andrea say? She's not like, don't fire my husband. No, Andrea is like, look, yeah, fire him, and then that'll give me more ammunition so that I can divorce him, leave him, and then I'm going to come be with you. Now notice, William didn't say a thing when she said anything about coming to be with him because he did not invite her. But Andrea was like, contemplating being with this man who ain't invited her to be with him. Not like that anyway. And you know what that reminds me of? Y'all remember that Usher song? And she's like, you make me wanna leave the one I'm with, start a new relationship with you. This is what you do. Think about a ring and all the things that come along with. You make me. But did he ask you to? I don't think he did, girl.
So sometimes when we write songs, I sit at the piano and I start to play. And I got to this part, it just kind of came out. I didn't know what I was doing. But then we put words to it. And Cheri said a thing to this part. So we made it a song.
You know, when I think about Andrea and this movie, I think about love. I think about how, you know, here she was, she had her own esteem problems. And it was like she had a guy, a husband, somebody who she committed to, but she looked at him like he was beneath her, actually. And this was her critical era. But at the same time, we have William, who's from this rich family, and he's white, and he just seems oh so wonderful. But William is married too. But she's fallen in love with William. She's not in love with her husband. She's even gone so far, as we find out, to have William's baby and be passing it off as her husband. But when I think about it, I think that maybe she really thought that her and William had an epic love. It had to be, right? And when I think about it, I think like she thought they had an epic love. Epic love. Epic love. Epic love. It wasn't epic. But as I start to think about a love from this movie that might have been epic, one thing that stands out is that epic loves don't have to always be romantic, right? They can be friendship love, love of family, all of that. And surely Charlotte and Alice had an epic love. They had been friends for over 30 years. Like, that's 3 decades. Some people don't even live to be 30 years. That's a lifetime for some people. And up until the end, they showed that they were actually trustworthy of each other's love, right? They were loyal to one another. And right up until Charlotte died at the end of the movie, who was there? Alice. Even Charlotte's son was kind of trying to twist a knife in her back, but Alice was her friend until the end, literally. So that's another thing that makes me think about the epic love that you might see, all of these different types of love. And, we should all reflect on whether or not we have epic love in our life. I'm sure we do if we stop to actually think about it, right?